Do you recommend any sites for getting open data?
Oh, yeah, great question. So let me answer a slight bit different question, which is like, how do you go about collecting data? Or actually turns up a lot of things if you have like an idea of something you're interested in, or if you do any like sort of like manual, you can like do manual data entry. So that Hamilton example I showed, those are musical lyrics, and so I went and like collected all of the, like manually entered all of the data myself with the lyrics. Or you can use like, different services have different APIs that are really helpful. So I would actually recommend getting really creative with the data collection process or data collection yourself. So starting with a curiosity, something you're passionate about, and going out to collect the data yourself. But if you're like, I just want to have a set of data, and I just want to be able to see them, and I'll get my ideas that way. The I was gonna say there used to be. I'm gonna get really sad saying this, but data.gov used to have a lot need to keep track of, certainly like census information. And although I think census information has moved to like a new website, but you can just like Google like US Census or something, and all of that should be published. Uh, to back up and archive data.gov. So you might be able to find that. Otherwise, I think a lot of interestingly, a lot of the journals have GitHub repos full of data sets that they collected for their stories. So I think ProPublica is quite famous for is that either ProPublica or maybe 538? Um, that has all of their data just published. Yeah. So they have some really great, so they have like a slash data has so many data sets of everything they've collected. Great site for visual, like really high quality visual essays and storytelling. And I think they have a lot of times if you go down to their methodologies, they'll have, because if it's anything data driven, like it's they for like, you know, good reporting, they need to be they need to kind of like say where they got their data, and they'll in their methodology section, they'll some of them will break it down in great detail. Some of them will just like have links, but that's a really great place to kind of like, if you see something that like inspired you and you want to like create a data visualization with it, methodology sections of like really good data-driven stories are like really great for figuring out where the Another great question. So D3 Force has really great support for Canvas. And in fact, if you look at a lot of their examples, so another tip about going through the D3 API is a lot of times, if you click on these images of examples, they'll link to the actual like either observable notebook or blocks with the actual code. And so, yeah, so for example, it will lead to this. And if you take a look at this one, I believe this one is done with Canvas. And you can see, I'm not going to delve and in .ticked, wait, so we're saying for each of the links, draw link, so that must be a custom function, and draw node. And so, yeah, so in here it has the custom functions to draw those shapes. Actually, yeah, actually for force layout, you just have to kind of read into the Canvas API, and then like a lot of the commands kind of translate over pretty naturally. So for example, the path string, those commands translate over to and then once you kind of have even a basic grasp of the Canvas API, you should be able to translate what we were doing in D3. Making sure to clear the canvas on each tick of the animation. So if you don't, you'll get really interesting bugs, actually very visually pleasing bugs sometimes. But yeah, so that's what I would say about Canvas. But in general, most of them have really great Canvas support. So you just need to kind of pay attention to where it talks about that in the reference, or taking a look at just the examples and seeing if they're implemented with Canvas or SVG. And that's all that I've got for our lessons and takeaways. Yeah, so I have some final notes, which is that if you are interested, because you know, observable with the kind of equivalent of what we did. So I'll be like updating them with what our bar chart and our fill on the coding aspect of data visualization, which is really, really fun. But I actually think that the more an almost more important challenge of data visualization is the design side, that we make sure that we're thinking about that, we're thinking through the data, that we're being careful in the way that we're encoding our data and translating it to the visual channels. And so the Building Custom Data Visualizations is a workshop that's about how to think about and do very light analysis of the data, as well as how to kind of think about once you have something you want to once you have and the data visualization for React developers is, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, is a very gentle introduction into D3 for React developers. So it's going to have a lot to the React portions so that you can get an idea of that. And finally, thank you so much for sticking around this whole workshop and kind of coming along this journey with me. Thank you.